Good morning. Charles Campbell, hoopdfw.com. Man, I got the boys back together. They've been out doing their own thing all over the country. Ani is he's all over the country now. I saw you on the Naismith Award now. You're voting for High School Player of the Year.
Yeah.
See? Man. And then Brandon over there with the this face. Oh my God.
Running with the
Brandon,
Austin Sixth Street face.
yeah. It's Monday, man. Live Monday. Thanksgiving Hoop Fest was this past weekend. The DFW basketball family was all back together, all in one place. Always a good time on the baseline. What do you call it? Gucci Row. Having conversations over unders on games. Brandon with the ridiculous over unders on games, and a lot of player watching. We watched a lot of players. Who who had a performance that was like a real standout performance, Ani?
I think for me, when you look at CJ Rosser,
Mm,
Southeastern Prep, obviously with Bruce Branch from Prolific, who was in some national sites, I know for 247, the number one player in 227, classic up to 226.
yeah.
Uh, Now it's kind of like, okay, Marcus Spears, CJ Ross are two players that have kind of been in that top 2 to 5 national angle. And I think CJ really just performed really well. Not saying Marcus had a bad game. Like Marcus still ended up with a double double, but CJ's
Yeah.
like his shot making at 6'9", using his length on the defensive end. Uh, just him doing stuff like even off the bounce, off the catch, just shooting over guys with ease, and just that touch at his size was super impressive. I think he made a strong case for being number one player in the country. Uh, I thought he had the best, I thought he had one of the best performances, and his teammate Beckham Black. I mean, Beckham. People were trying to on the Gucci road. People were trying to figure out, what is Beckham Black even that good? We saw him at Peach, and I don't know. I started to hear that, and I said, guys, he's gotten better. Like he's more
Yeah.
explosive. The jumper's
Yeah.
improving. Now he gets to work out in basketball all the time, being at Southeastern Prep, and he showed it. Like he was making open shots, he was making athletic plays, and it wasn't just the vertical. Like he was euro stepping then playing above the rim. He was grabbing rebounds and being above the rim. Like his vertical pop is super impressive now. And now because his offensive game has grown with his shooting, the defense just can't play the pass when he drives. You see what I'm saying? Now you got to
They
decide,
can't.
hey, how are you going to guard him? Am I going to help hard and then, allow the lob or the corner three to be open? Or am I going to kind of try to play the pass and he's going to go up and try to dunk on you or finish? His improved vertical pop and shooting I think has really allowed him, someone that's labeled as a potential 5-star level kid. I think he secured it currently, with his play at Hoopfest.
Brandon?
Yeah, I actually want to just stay on the topic of who Ani was talking about because I think it was good to see Southeastern Prep return back to Dallas, or not really return back to Dallas, but obviously, David Peavy, he coached at Duncanville. He's making his return home. Beckham Black, he's from the city. So it was just good to see them and the national counterparts that they have on that team come back. And, like Ani said, with CJ Rosser, I mean, that number one spot is up for grabs now that Bruce Branch has reclassed up to the 2026 class. So it was good to see him have a performance on such a bright stage. I think Ani would agree with this. When you see somebody like CJ, somebody who's 6'9", with the prototypical long arms, the ability to space the floor with reliability, it's just somebody who has all the tools that translates to the highest level. And he's somebody who could hang his hat on the upside, but he really gave us two productive showings during his time here. And yeah, he definitely made a case for the top spot. And then in Beckham's regard, I think we always knew that Beckham had a high IQ, a high feel for the game. But like Ani said, he's made strides with his athleticism. He's more explosive than we ever seen before. I don't think he'll ever be just this bursty guard with a mean first step, but he is somebody who is just he'll kill you with smarts. He always takes angles in the right way. He's amazing in pick and roll. He just sees the game 3 plays ahead, and you could just tell that he's one who's always been good and always been respected by his peers, dating back to his time in elementary school when Anthony Black, his brother, was coming up the ranks. So it was good to see those two dudes in the DFW area put on a show. But my guy, I think I'm going to keep singing the praises of Dakari Spear and how he's been playing throughout the season. He gave Southeastern Prep 28 points, knocking down 4 threes in the process in front of his, general manager, Kellen Buffington for Texas Tech. I think it was good just to see him have
Buff was back in the building, man.
yeah, absolutely. It was good to see him have a productive showing against Southeastern Prep. I think Dynamic Prep is undefeated, if I'm not mistaken, right? They haven't
Yeah,
lost a game.
they're undefeated in the regular season. They lost one
I was
game
gonna say, yeah, they've lost in the
or
OTE,
two.
but
Is it two?
yeah,
One
they
or two?
lost two, and they dropped two in the OTE, but outside of OTE, they're undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, and I know OTE is a different style of play, but just in front of my eyes, I think Dakari showed why he was so highly regarded last year. I think that everybody was so quick to fall off of him, just because he was battling through injuries. He didn't really get a chance to show what he can do, show his growth and whatnot. And so now he's getting a chance to do it. And smart move by him by transferring to Dynamic Prep, because he's putting himself on a platform and seizing every opportunity. And it's just good to see it. He's not somebody who's going to kill you with flash or flare or anything like that. He's not really a dynamic player, no pun intended, but he's somebody who just gets the job done substance-wise. Very fundamentally sound game, can hit contested shots, and we're just seeing it all come through the forefront. And I just feel like he's somebody whose game translates well for what Grant McCaslin is trying to do in Lubbock.
You know, I'm I'm slow with pro comparisons, obviously, because they like get linked to these guys. But when you look at Spear, just the look of his game, he looks like Brandon Roy to me. He looks very like mid-range killer, can shoot it. Not I mean he was athletic, but because of injuries and stuff that he had, he wasn't like super athletic, but he was athletic enough to hit shots over top of people, make plays, get to the rim. And for some reason I just saw Dakari Spear like that all weekend. There's one play that you can see on the highlights where he kind of gets his man below the elbow and
Mm-hmm.
takes like that step back jumper to the elbow, rises up, and I was like, man, that looks like Brandon Roy so much. But Dakari Spear, I was wondering, like you were saying, a lot of people fell off of him. Is that why he may have dropped? Well, the way he dropped in the rankings that he did, or
Yeah, it
something?
was he was injured most of the spring and summer, and then when he played through it, and honestly, uh, hearing some of the severity of the injury, he probably shouldn't have really even played. Like at Peace Jam, I heard like he really probably shouldn't have even played. But I
Yeah,
think that kind of showed the tough. Like if you don't have the intel, then you wouldn't know, right?
right,
Like
right.
he was hurt and he was playing through it, and his shooting numbers weren't great. Even border league, you can tell he was finally kind of getting back into being healthy and playing,
Yeah,
and he wasn't. He had one good game, but like the others, it was just all right. Like he was missing shots we normally see him make. I just think now we're just seeing someone that's healthy, that
yeah.
has found his rhythm and has found his role at Dynamic, and he's just really excelling in it. And Dakari, it's just one of those like can't be a prisoner of the moment, right? Like he was really good, and it's not like the talent went away. Um, and I felt like he fell off just because he was hurt, but the talent was always still there. He's just showing how talented he's been in
Yeah.
my opinion, and how good of a scorer he's been. And now he's just healthy. He's older. He's now getting to the free throw line. One thing I don't think we mentioned out here is like Zakari's getting to the free throw line. Even against Faith Family, he got there like I think 7 or 10 times. Against
Yeah.
Seppa, he got into the free throw line 10 times. Like Dakari is not
And made
just
all of them.
it made all of them. Like he's not someone that just shooting like catch and shoot or even middies, which he's very he's good at. He's getting to the free throw line. He's driving. He's being crafty with his finishes. He knows how to draw fouls. So he's added another layer to his game, and that's getting to the free throw line.
What were you saying, Brandon?
Oh yeah, just pick. I just think that us as national dudes, we kind of tend to fall off of dudes because it's like basketball is just such a "what have you done for me lately" type of sport. When somebody's
Yeah.
popping, we just sing their praises and fall off the dudes that has that body of work and that's shown that body of work leading up to that point. But now I think he deserves his praises to be sung. Just because he's always been consistently productive. When you look back at his freshman campaign, his sophomore campaign, even his junior campaign, he's always been productive. He just went through a bad stretch where he was playing through a nagging injury, or as Ani said, a serious injury at that. And so, like, it's good to see him be healthy. It's good to see him come back to his normal self of just being a consistently productive guard. And, he's the main reason why, especially on the perimeter, why Dynamic Prep is having such a successful season, even on the national scope.
Dynamic adds Austin Gooseby. I was wondering how he was going to fit in with the group. It looks like he's playing some point guard. kind of some lead ball handler there. Talked to Texas, talked to the coaches over there. I asked Yurik, I said, what are you guys gonna play me? He said a combo. So I think that seeing him with the ball in the hands, I think we're gonna have to get used to that. Well, how do you think he did at the point guard, kind of, running the show there a little bit for dynamic?
Well, I think when you look at Gooseby and the archetype, especially like talk to his dad and his family, like I know like with the even Texas, like they look at him as this big guard, right? And
Yeah.
I know that's kind of going to kind of be his things at the levels beyond college is what they're looking at. I thought he was fine. I think he's a really good connector piece. I thought he came in, he initiated offense. He just tried to find what his role is. I think like you can't put too much stock into. I thought he was okay. Like I thought he was okay. I thought he played within the flow of the team. And that's in one thing about Austin, he's not a disruptor or just going to come in and just jack up 10, 15, 20 shots. He's going to do things within the flow. Sometimes he is unselfish out of fault, and he knows this.
Yeah.
And he knows I've said that before, but I thought he did a good job. Less than a week being on the team, coming in and starting, getting others involved, defending, communicating, playing the right way. And I thought most of his buckets came from like transition or being off-ball cutter or straight line drives or just grabbing offensive rebounds and finishing. I thought Austin just was figuring out how to play with these guys, even though he's played with some in the summer. But I thought he played his role and he did it, and he did a good job of it. He's just a connector piece. I think that's one thing about Austin that's really important. Like when you put him in the game, some of the stuff that what makes him really good is beyond what the box score looks like. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, I thought he was fine.
Yeah, I agree completely with what Arnie said. I think he projects well as a connector and he serves well in that role. Like talking to some of my homeboys going into the weekend, we were wondering if he was going to start or not for dynamic prep. And I was always on board with him starting at the point guard spot as soon as he got there, just because it's just Drive Nation all over again, right? So he comes in there and he just plays the game the right way. I think the thing I like about him the most, actually two things. One, he moves different than his peers. I don't think anybody in the state, maybe a few people in the country, moves the way he does. He's just a natural athlete with, graceful fluidity. He has rhythm with the ball, and as he continues to tighten up that handle, because he can handle the ball, but as it gets more crisp and more tightened up, I think like that plays a part into what his upside can become. And then I think he's a deflection magnet. He's really active. He's somebody who plays the passing lanes very well. He had a play where I think he picked off a pass in the backcourt and got an open floor dunk against Seppa. So it was good to see that aspect of his game. Like Ani said, he's just a two-way connector. And also somebody who rebounds it well for a guard. I think you see his football background come to light when you're evaluating his approach to the game. So I see the fit with Texas. He's going to be playing for a great coach in Sean Miller, and he's somebody who won't have to do a lot in terms of scoring. He doesn't have to score to impact the game, and I think that's what UT will need from him next season, and I think that's the habits that he already brings to the table.
100%.
Yeah, did you guys see the Tennessee Collegiate prolific prep game?
Yes, yeah, that was a good game.
Mason Williams. What's interesting is I didn't realize that there were so many kids in the tournament or the event that have Texas backgrounds, and a lot of them played together. Mason Williams was here, RM5 with his dad when Mo Williams was here. So he played with that team that had Isaac Hayes on it, Cam McGilvery. And so it was like, whoa, we have like a little reunion when these guys were like 9, 10 years old. And now, but Mason Williams took down prolific prep to bring us back to that a little bit.
Yeah, I thought Mason, he had a really good July in the Puma Pro 16 circuit with that Mississippi. I think it was like Mississippi United.
Team SIP. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Team SIP. So score, someone that can just get a bucket anytime he wanted. I thought he could attack both ways, kind of get into the midi, use good footwork to kind of in pump face to, get closer to the rim, make catch and shoot threes. He's a very confident scorer like his dad. Mo, who played in the league for a long time and won the NBA championship. You can just see that scoring DNA in him. I just thought it was the same thing, prolific from the jump, which is making shots. He was making deep threes. He was driving to the baskets. He was attacking the teeth of the defense. And you saw some of the playmaking chops too. But one thing we just know he can do, he can score that ball. And that team, Tennessee Collegiate, is just some tough guys. You got the Vital kid, the big fella that made a lot of athletic plays and altered a lot of shots at the rim. You got
Is
Josiah
he
Sanders.
from Texas too?
I think so. They said
Actually, he might be from Louisiana, but I heard that he had a stint with like the Houston Hoops.
yeah. Someone told me
I'm
that.
sure a lot of these kids have had stints in Texas at some point.
Right. And you had Josiah Sanders, who came from OT, that was with them. Like, he was just a really just athletic forward that just, the Tennessee Collegiate's length and athleticism. And then you got someone like Mason Williams, who can score it at any time. Just kind of adds that, yeah, just adds that like that layer of just offensive versatility and scoring that they needed, because he can do it on and off the ball. So I thought Mason was super impressive. I thought he had a big showing and he really helped himself.
Yeah, no.
Oh, my bad, Brandon. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. It was good to see Tennessee Collegiate come out with that win. I mean, obviously, Prolific Prep. They had a lot of hype going into the event. Obviously, with them being the number one team in the country, I think they're ranked by SportsCenter Next as the number one team in the country.
Yeah,
so you could tell that Tennessee Collegiate they had a chip on their shoulder, extra pep to their step coming into it. But in Mason Williams' regard, it's crazy because as an evaluator, there's some times where you can watch a high level player against probably like a lesser tier of competition.
Mm-hmm.
And you determine your level off of that. But then when you put them in a higher environment, in an environment full of dudes that are deemed as high major recruits, high major players, it kind of changes the way that you think of that player that you thought was lesser tier. And so for me, not saying that I didn't think, actually, I can say I did not expect Mason Williams to be a prioritized high major recruit. I never seen him in that light. When I saw him at Pro 16, he was productive, but I also thought, him going to Jackson State, not saying that he's a SWAC level player, but just saying that that's a ideal spot for him to go play for your dad and go kill it. But seeing him in that light just let me know the depths of his talent, because you're playing against, there was 3 top 10 players in the country on Prolific Prep's team. And then there's like high major commits spread around that core 3 within Prolific Prep. So just watching him in that matchup, being the best player on the floor, getting the ball where it needed to go, and obviously scoring on all 3 levels, it just showed the depths of his talent and what he can do. Obviously, the NBA pedigree is there, and there's just a lot to like with his natural composure and his high level of skill. I thought he brought it all to the forefront in that match, and then also seeing Christian Gibson return to the Lone Star State, playing a role where he didn't have to be the primary creator. Somebody who can get a shot off whenever he wants, and he used that skill set to his advantage. He used that. That's his calling card. I mean, UCF recruited him to put the ball in the hole, and that's what he did. And he did it against the highest levels of competition, but he did it in a way that was suited towards winning. So it's good to see him in that off-ball role. I think he does have talent playing on the ball, but like just seeing him balance his skill set, I think that's what also helped lift Tennessee Collegiate to that upset win.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the Christian Gibson assessment. I mean, that's kind of been the thing, right? Like, we've seen him play a lot on the ball, and he has some on ball, like, he has some ability there. He's
some natural talent. Mm-hmm.
He has some talent there, but playing off the ball and scoring and seeing him win high level basketball games, that's something honestly we just haven't seen him do in the high school. This is something that hasn't happened. So to see that this weekend and then see like that Tennessee Collegiate squad is going to be really good. And we want to continue to see that, like him playing like that, him impacting winning at a high level. That's important. That's just good for us to see. That's something we just have not seen in high school. We've seen him put numbers. We know he can score. We've seen him put numbers. But now to see him do that in a way that's more of a piece, and he's playing to his strengths, and he's impacting winning, does a lot of good for Christian.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was looking at the comments. Of what we got going here. No, I think that Tennessee Collegiate team was like I would say they was the surprise of the event.
Yes,
and it's they had a really, really good time. Like the
we want to hear the comments. What are the comments? What are the comments, man?
I'm gonna get to them in a second. It's funny because we have some real people, like people getting their feelings about stuff, and it's hilarious. But they were the surprise. I mean, I don't think anybody really expected them to win. But speaking of off-ball stuff, I just really we saw Isaac Hayes the next night off-ball against Prolific Prep. and I don't think we've seen him off the ball like that before. Like, kind of give some insight into that game. I mean, it wasn't really close at any point, but I know everyone was looking at that Isaac Hayes prolific prep matchup.
Well, I think Isaac Hayes is a gamer. I think at the end of the day, like him playing off it and be able to make deep threes, I thought he was still able to get to his spots on the floor. He just showed a level of toughness that we know he has. Like I think got to 11 points after they made the half court three or something like that. I think that's like the
Yeah.
closest we kind of saw it. So there was like a competitive point where they're trying to make a run, and obviously it got out of hand. But I thought Isaac was good. I think one thing I don't question out of him, if there's a big game or if he knows there's a lot of eyes on him, he's going to make shots. He's going to perform. He's going to talk a lot of S, which I think that like that's just Isaac. Like he always plays with the chip on his shoulder. I felt like, to me, I don't care who you put out there. He's gonna do his thing, and those shots are gonna fall because he's he knows they got to. Right?
Yeah.
Like he knows they got to. So I think Isaac is Isaac. Like one thing I know, if it's a big game, Isaac's gonna perform.
I took off after the first quarter.
What?
There you
Yeah, I
go.
took off after the first quarter.
What did you go watch? So what did you go watch?
I got hungry at that point. That was my nightcap. That was my nightcap.
So because it was not, it wasn't really a close contest. It kind of lost your
I mean,
attention.
not because. Well, I mean, yeah, I kind of predicted what was going to happen, even though I did come into the game supporting North Crowley. You remember that I called you before the game even started. But nah, it was more because I seen prolific prep the night before, and I kind of knew what to expect from North Crowley's regard, and I know I'm going to get a chance to see him later on this season. So I decided to cap off my night at that point. But like as Lonnie said, I knew that Isaac was going to be juiced up for that game. I know Brackle was going to have his players prepared. It was just one of those things where you have a rotation of 8 high major dudes on prolific prep with that size, length, and athleticism. I mean, there's only so much that you can do, right?
And they're coming back from a loss too.
Yeah, I was gonna say
they were coming back from a loss. Good point.
They were coming back from a loss, so that they were kind of like, yeah, we're not gonna do this again.
Right.
Absolutely.
Faith Family, first weekend in the Nike EYBL Scholastic League. What you think about the showing?
I think for me, I thought that who was the St. James game was impressed with Xavier Young. I think he had 15 points, and he's been productive with his minutes. He's a big that can really finish inside, like gets off the ground well, has fairly good hands. I still think they can be better, but there's some skill there, like stretching out to the three and making shots, just playing hard, having a nose for the ball. I thought he was good. Gavin Placide, Wake Forest commit, was impressive as well, just kind of using the size more so in the paint and not floating down on the perimeter as much. I thought he was impressive, just using his athleticism, the size, and has a very intriguing skill. And then Josiah Rose, someone that we've all talked about multiple times, just someone that lefty that can score the basketball. I think he's been very impactful in winning. Really uses his length. He's a sophomore that has more an advanced build, and not saying that in a bad way, just more like he has a build that can compete in the varsity level at a very high level. And I think his jumper is coming along. Like we're starting to see more confidence in the jumper. I think still a little bit more on the streaky side, but I think the jumper, like how the mechanics of it is kind of cleaned up a little bit. He's more confident. He's using athleticism. He's doing more on the ball. BT has him more on the ball doing things. So I think Josiah Rose, someone that is a 4-star player in 2028. And someone that has been productive throughout this school season. He's been one of their better players, and arguably their best players sometimes when they're on the court.
Yeah, I think I don't even think this is a hot take. I think that they're more than capable of winning this thing in their first year in the EYBL Scholastic League. Just judging it off the games that they've been. I mean, they played. Dynamic Prep was a winnable game for Faith Family last week. La Lumiere was a winnable game. I think they were up by 8 with 3 minutes to go against La Lumiere. It's just closing out those two games. They close out those games, they win both. So, like Ani said,
Dream City. They played Dream City yesterday at home and beat Dream City by 30 yesterday.
Yeah,
it's a really good team. I think I probably believe in Faith Family more than Faith Family believes in Faith Family. I really love them. But yeah, like just as Ani said, that core group. When you talk about Gavin Placide, Josiah Rose, even the other Pete Gallagher pussy. Like they just have a really good team where you can get something from any of their key players on any given night, and so they're going to be well coached. They're still figuring things out, but I like the upside of what this team can become when we go into late February, early March.
I'm really impressed. I was talking to somebody and I said, they've had some really good teams in the past, but I think this might be the best Faith Family team that we've ever seen. What do you think about that?
That one with JT Toppin was pretty tough his senior year because no one could guard JT. Like,
I mean, they still can't. They still can't guard.
They still can't. Like, I think this team from top to bottom is definitely deeper, obviously.
Yeah.
But JT's group, it was so hard to stop him. That team was more of a team. I think this team's still more individuals than team right now.
Yeah.
Once they are all one, like all bought in, and they're all like on the same page, the players and the coaches, I think we'll see that. I think on paper, yes, but I feel like he's had better basketball teams
Right.
in the past right now. But it's we just started December, so things could definitely change.
Yeah. Brandon, what do you think about? I know you were here when they had some of those other teams when they won all those state championships. What do you think about this team versus some of their past teams? Faith Family.
Yeah, I think they developed a roster. They built a roster that's fitted for the league that they're playing in. I think when you seen those past Faith Family teams, they were still UIL affiliated. And so those teams were built upon winning state championships versus winning national championships. So when I look at this group, like Ani said, individually, when you look at the roster on paper, yeah, I think this is the best team that they've had. It's just all about getting those pieces to mesh well. And they're still in the developing stages of doing so. But, if everything works the right way and they're playing for one of the best coaches in the country, those kids are playing for one of the best coaches in the country in Brandon Thomas. I mean, when you factor that in, I think this team has a lot of upside, and I think they really have a great shot at winning it all. They haven't done anything that could prove me wrong otherwise. So, I like Faith Family and what they can bring to the table.
What were some other games that you saw that you watched? Did you watch any of the local, some of the local games that we had, some of the local teams?
Off the top of my head, I want to highlight who Faith Family played because I like watching Lala Mir, by the way.
I do.
Yeah, the Jacob Weber kid that's going to Purdue who's shooting all the threes.
Man, that shot to end the game against Faith Family. But their point guard, on the Notre Dame, what's his name again? I can't remember.
Yeah, John Sanderson.
Sanderson. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That baseline where he attempted to dunk Xavier Young, I don't think anybody in the gym expected him to get off the floor the way that he did.
Yeah, and so quick. I mean,
it was real quick.
that could have been nasty. But that's the perks of when you have your dad, who's the head strength and conditioning guy for Notre Dame. I mean, like that's the flex. You waking up every morning and your dad is over here putting you through all these core exercises and explosive exercises. I mean, that's a flex. It's a cheat code within itself. And I mean,
that makes
you can
more
just
sense.
tell. You could tell because when he walks on the floor, the dude is a walking soldier. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's physically ripped, but I love how he goes about his business. Like I said, he's strong, athletic. He gets the ball where it needs to be, and he plays really well within himself. It was good to see that from him. I think Notre Dame has something good in that 6'2" floor general there.
I agree. Duncanville had a couple of games. Deuce Hunt catches another body. Dunks another. This time he dunked a big kid. University school out of Florida, I believe.
Oh,
did you? I was there. I saw it, but did you actually?
I missed Duncanville.
You gotta go see the highlight. I mean, you could tell if you know Deuce, you know that if he has like space and steps, he's gonna try to dunk you. And I don't think the other guy, he didn't know him because they're from Florida, so he jumped, but expecting like. Because when you look at Deuce, you expect him to lay it up or get contact. You don't really. He does. No, he does. But when you look at him, it's like, oh, he's slender. He's probably like 6 feet, 6'1". So you don't expect, oh, I'm a bigger guy. Like dude went up and Deuce put him on a poster, and it was like, y'all gonna keep missing the film where y'all seeing this kid dunk the ball on people and dunk it two hands and do all of this stuff. Like I, but Duncanville had a good showing. Duncanville had a good showing against some national competition. I want to go back to what you said though. With I talked to Beckham and I talked to Peavy after their second game. I didn't get him after the loss to Dynamic, but I got him after the second one, and they
Okay.
both just seemed so like real nostalgic and really like I'm home. Like this is home for me for a while. You know what I mean? But I do agree that Beckham has grown a lot as a ball player, and he is a bona fide offensive weapon, and he's every bit of like what 6'3.5", 6'4" ish. Like he's gotten bigger, his size, and he's finishing at the rim. He has some
Yeah, I
moments.
mean, well, my
Go
bad. I
ahead.
didn't mean to cut
No,
you
no, no,
off,
no.
but
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
when you talk about like the confidence that they came in with, I mean, you just got to look at the body of work. I mean, Peavy's won multiple state championships during his time at Duncanville, and he even capped off his Duncanville career with the state championship with Beckham running the show for that team.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like you said, it was cool just to you used the word nostalgia. I used the word swagger. When they walked in, like I felt different. Like I felt like their presence, their energy different. Like they're doing this on the national stage now. Like they're done with this UIL stuff. They're done with this Lone Star State stuff. Now we're taking this thing national, and we're going to show y'all like what we're really about. And in Beckham's regard, we've been knowing this kid ever since he was in third grade, and AB was in eighth grade or whatever. We met Anthony Black back in middle school, right? So like, and
I was
Beckham has
gonna
always
say
been a
I
part of
I
the
knew
journey.
Anthony when he was like 11, 10 years old.
Yeah, I mean, and Beckham has
Yeah,
always been there every step of the way. And so
yeah,
it's cool just to see the type of game he endorses. When I think of Beckham, I think of Andre Miller, like somebody who is on the floor to get his teammates involved and do so in the most unselfish way,
yeah.
with a level of composure. Like his just composure is so beyond his years. Like I said, he sees the play every like 3 plays ahead. He sees the game 3 plays ahead, and
I was
he's
gonna say
magnificent.
his court vision has definitely expanded. I mean, he's made some passes, and I was like, whoa, he can really see the floor really well.
And it's wild because coming up, he was a score first guard. Like
He
AB used to show
was.
me his highlights. He used to fling that
He
thing
would
from the
drop
volleyball
30 and
line and it
40.
would be
He'd drop
cash.
30 and
Yeah.
40 on you as a little kid all the time. Like as a little kid, 30 and 40 point games all the time.
So now it's just crazy because, and I've noticed this ever since he was at USA Basketball as an underclassman. Now he's playing for others. He's just one who's always trying to get his teammates involved. And like I said, he's magnificent in pick and roll. Like once he comes off a ball screen, you're really at his demise because he knows how to make the shake pass. He hits the roller. I mean, like he just makes the right decision every
Yeah.
time. And his pace is unmatched. I think he has his own case for being the number one point guard in the country. I know ESPN has him in that regard. I know talking with my boss, he's somebody who's a candidate to move up in our ranking. So he just every time the lights are on, he's one who always shows up and shows out.
Him versus Nasir. I mean, their games are kind of different. Nasir is he's big. I didn't realize he was that big.
Mm-hmm.
That kid is
Yeah.
he's um but where like where do you see them in comparison to each other?
Here's my personal take on things.
And
I
you
think
gotta
it's a
throw little hold on, you gotta throw a little skip in the mix too.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I think it's a 3-man race. I'm also a Caden Daughtry guy, but Caden Daughtry is so skilled and so productive, and I'll always go for that. But
Yeah.
those three have the positional size working in their favor. With each of them, I think they're all like around Skip. Little Skip is about 6'2.5". Beckham is a legit 6'3". Nazir is a legit
Mhm.
6'3", maybe even 6'4". I know we got him listed at 6'4". But those three guards, when you talk about Beckham, Reese, and Nazir, they bring a level of upside that's very noticeable. And even though the point guard position is dying down in the league,
Yeah.
I think those three can go into the league and actually make something happen and bring it back to life. I think that's where their talent relies. I think the class of 2027 is a good point guard class. And when you compare all three, I think they bring it all in different ways. And that's just an argument that we might not be able to determine until they cross the stage graduation coming to the year 2027, because one day Nazir can look like the number one point guard. One day it could be Beckham. One day it could be Reese. In my opinion, I think Reese is probably the most exciting to watch just because of that natural flair. You could just tell that he's Ray for Austin's son. But Nas can put on a show another day. Like you said, he's powerfully strong. He gets downhill and he can punch one on you. I mean, there's some like Russell Westbrook vibes with his explosion.
Watching him, I've seen the highlights, so that was my first time seeing him in person, and it seemed like he wasn't really on the gas that much
Mm-hmm.
in their second game against North Crowley, but he had some plays there where first step was crazy. That step off the floor was crazy, getting to the rim. He had that breakaway dunk, and I know somebody jumped with him, and they realized he's still going up. I'm not, so I'm not even going to try and, try and attempt to block this. But no, he's you can see the athleticism on him for sure. But
Now,
I'm just like but he's big though. Like I made the
yeah.
comment, he looks like a linebacker to me.
Yes, or
Um,
like a third down running back.
yeah, like a third down back or something. Like yeah,
You
he's physically as a point guard, he's physically imposing.
know
I
what they
would
all three have in common though? All three know how to get into the paint and locate their teammates, and I think that's the most important skill you can have running the point guard position. So, I mean, whether it be Nazir, Beckham, or Reese, I think any college coach in the country would be lucky to have them running the show. I think they're three dudes that can come into a high major program and really make an instant impact as a starting PG as a freshman. I think that's how good they are.
yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. It'll be interesting to see what these rankings come out with those three, because they are, kind of right, one, two, three, kind of how you can any one of them I think can go in each other's places. So,
Absolutely.
but but let's see. Look at some of these games we have. Other games that you saw. I know that was one of the things we talked about this. Some of the local games we kind of skipped a lot of them
Yeah, for sure.
because there were other, like you had the Parish Episcopal. We sat there, Parish Episcopal and Southeastern Prep.
Mhm.
The Twins showed up, I think, but Hudson Lucas to me kind of showed what he really could be at the college level.
Absolutely. I think, I've been covering Hudson Lucas ever since he was a sophomore at Kaufman High School. Figured out about him. I think he was playing 16U for Southern Assault last
Uh,
year. And he was skinny, stretch four man. He had a couple of threes, but when you have that positional size and the ability to space the floor, you know that there's something there. And it's been cool seeing him transfer to Parrish, seeing his body evolve, his confidence evolve. He kind of plays with a mean streak now. He's
yeah,
not one who's going to be extremely vocal, but you know that every play he's making with serious intent. He's committed to Nevada, good size at 6'9", brings a translatable skill set. So at this point, it's just going to be about confidence and, just patience. His body still has ways to grow.
yeah,
But, that Southeastern Prep game, like you said, it kind of gave us flashes of what he can become. He put the ball on the floor. He scored really well with touch inside the lane. I think he hit a couple of spot up threes. So he showed us the arsenal. Now it's just more about, bulking up that body, gaining more confidence in the game, and just stacking great days.
yeah. I agree. Saw him the week before against Duncanville. Had a little bit of a rough game. Shots weren't falling. But against Southeastern, saw some of that mid range falling, the competitiveness, how he matched up against equal size and equal athleticism, and yeah, he looked pretty good. I like the Twins too. Um, I like the Twins, their effort. They just play like
Absolutely.
the thing we always say about them. Like it's their calling card. They play so hard. They are
Yes.
intense.
Yes.
They're focused on. They want everybody dialed in. It's not just for them. Like you can see their leadership on the floor. And they had their moments, and I love, and I believe it's Antoine. I hate that whichever one who was guarding Beckham, I believe that was 33.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love his tenacity on defense. I watched him do it the week before against Deuce Hunt, and then this week you got Beckham Black. So and when you look at his body, you don't think he can move the way that he can move. He's another player with his build. He's got a very strong build, so it looks like it may not be quick laterally, but he's an excellent defender. He's a really good defender.
Yeah, for
Really,
sure. Now,
really pesky.
During my time at Texas, my assistant coach Luke Yaklich used to have this term called cowboying. It's like when the ball handler takes one dribble, you take it to the chest,
Yeah,
and because of that twin's physical strength, I think it's a cheat code because he gets opposing ball handlers off balance just with what he brings physicality wise on the defensive end. So it's good. It's always good to see the Twins compete because they're always down to bring effort and always, and they play the game with a winning mentality.
Yeah.
Whether it be a rebound, whether it be an extra pass, whether it be open shot attempt or a strong drive to the basket, they're going to do it with a great level of intensity. And yeah, they're always down to compete and they don't duck any matchups, and you got to respect that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me hop down into some of these comments. Michael Gatewood have 40. I believe Michael Gatewood, I think the
Yeah,
40
I heard
ball
he's
came in.
been balling.
He's been playing well. That was, we didn't get to see it because they played same night as Thanksgiving Hoopfest, but they played Carter. Carter was number one in my rankings. Carter, we know all that they have, and they ended up beating them. They beat Carter. So that's another for that district, Lancaster, Duncanville, DeSoto, with Tredavian. I hope I'm saying his name right. Like that district becomes even more confusing now. I mean, Dallas high school basketball becomes even more confusing because just to me, I thought Carter had a really good chance of just kind of coasting through things.
Hmm.
And not to say Waxahachie isn't good, I just didn't think they were on the level of Carter, and they beat Carter. And Michael Gaywood he has been. I watched him last weekend at the Noble. He has been everything for that Waxahachie team, and teams still can't stop him. And it's
No,
like,
absolutely. I haven't seen him since the spring, I think early
yeah,
May. But the one thing I do know about his game is he has a natural ability to hoop. Like he has
yeah,
a slick handle,
he
good
does.
skill set. I mean, if he sees
Athletic.
one or two fall through the hole, I mean, he's going to light it up. Am I surprised that he's going for 40? I mean, yeah, 40 points is a lot of points, right?
And that's what I'm saying. Like people, we're acting like 40 in high school. It's only a 32-minute game. Like it's common and it's not. It's really not. Like it's impressive to score 40 points in high school.
Yes, yes, yes. So it's interesting. I think is he an unsigned senior? He hasn't committed anywhere yet, right?
Has not committed anywhere. No.
So I mean, yeah, like with more performances like that, somebody is going to be ringing his phone. Somebody's going to be ringing his line because at the end of the day, as much as college coaches are addicted to these transfer portal dudes, I mean, you build your foundation, you build your culture with high school guys, and you talk about Michael Gatewood, you're talking about somebody who's really seasoned in the game and confident in his skill set, and those type of dudes need to be recruited.
Yeah, they do. And that's another thing, I think, and I'm probably going to end the show. I don't want to take too much time. Ani left. Ani had to step off. He had an engagement this morning he had to get to. But from an evaluator, a national evaluator standpoint, a lot of the comments that I get, everybody wants their kid to receive spotlight. Everybody wants the light to shine on their kid. How can in atmospheres like a hoop fest or what is it that for you, as an evaluator, especially I know a lot of your work and a lot of people don't understand what you do. A lot of people don't really understand that you stay on top of college commitments and college recruiting and work with the college fan bases. And you are a part of a lot of 24/7 sports ranking process. But a lot of what you're doing is for college prospects. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely.
how can a kid get on that radar? And here's another. This is gonna be an interesting question. Um, people seem to think I've been accused of taking money to help people, help kids, and like people seem to think that we are somehow in cahoots with programs or people, and we favor this and do that. Is like, can you speak to that a little bit?
Absolutely. So, yeah, like you said, I think most people think that my primary source of income comes from me being an evaluator, but that's not what my job pays me to do. My job pays me to figure out where the top high school basketball players in the country are going to school.
Right.
We make our moves off of the college basketball fan bases. I work for Ole Miss's fans, the University of Texas fans, Ohio State's fans. It's my job to figure out who they're recruiting and if they have a great shot at getting them. Therefore, the games that I go to are predicated upon who the high major programs, because most of the time it's high major programs that have subsites within our 24/7 sports space.
Right.
Um, it's predicated upon who those colleges are recruiting. And then when they see me cover guys that are going potentially low, mid minors, or even the mid major plus schools, that's deemed off of those kids being in those matchups, playing in those games, and showing out. Because I also do like to show love for the dudes who are not going high major. Because at the end of the day, it's hard going Division One. And
Yeah.
so in my recaps, that's why you see guys that may be committed to a Jackson State or A&M Corpus Christi or even a Colorado State. That's why you see them in those write-ups, because they showed out in times when I'm watching the dudes that I need to watch to update the college basketball fans on how their potential recruits or prospective recruits at that are performing. And that's the easiest way to get on the radar. If you show up in a big time matchup, I mean, I have no choice but to write about you and to even acknowledge you. My source of income when it comes from the evaluation space comes through me scouting for colleges and just letting them know if a player can help them. But when it comes to 24/7 sports, CBS sports related stuff, it's all about who is projected to go to these high major schools and updating those fan bases on their chances of getting them and what they're doing on the basketball court from a production perspective.
Right. Uh, I'm sorry, I got a question. That's a question. How I got a question. How did Diamante Blazy? I guess the kid Diamante. Is it Diamante that plays for the
Oh, the
seniors?
famous kid.
Yeah, yeah.
The
Somebody said
famous
something
kid.
about how can he play for them and he's 20 years old. That's I. We don't have that answer. I mean, I'm not gonna say unfortunately.
What
That's
people what,
definitely.
what
Go
people
ahead.
got to realize is, like, I don't consider, and this is no disrespect to what Overtime has going on. I think they do a good job of developing players. They've had a body of work of players that have been successful in the game of basketball when you factor
About to
in the
say
time.
they got some lottery picks and some more, man.
Yeah, like Thompson Twins, Rob Dillingham, Michael Brown is showing
Yeah,
out. There's just a lot of players that Overtime Elite has had that have done well in the game. But at the end of the day, it's not your traditional high school basketball standard. Some kids are over there to maximize their clout on social media. Now, do I think I don't even know how to pronounce his name, Diamant
I don't
Blizzy?
either.
Like,
I do know
do I
that.
think he
What I
can
do know
play?
is that Marcus Spears. Hold on. What I will say is I do know that Marcus Spears dunked him. I do know that. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, because there's levels to this, man. I mean, like, everybody isn't in this for the same thing. Marcus Spears' goal is to play in the NBA. I
Right.
think Demont Blizzy might be a celebrity for the next 5 to 10 years if he plays his cards right, social media wise. He's just using
Yeah.
basketball as a stepping stone. I don't want to
Yeah.
disrespect his passion because he may have passions to go to the league, but, like, dog, he has 3.1 million followers on Instagram, and I don't think he's ranked by any of the major recruiting services. So, with that being
Right.
said, I mean, like, where does his cards really lie? And Overtime is a league that endorses that. They want that. It's all like social media based. Um, and so it's just one of those things where the agendas are a little bit different. The goals for the kids are a little bit different. And
Yeah.
I don't really know the kid's age, but if he is that old, I think he might be allowed to do that over there because it's just not a traditional high school space.
Right. Yeah, I know. I was gonna say, we have no idea. We don't. That's OTE's rules, OTE's league. And like Brandon said, OTE they have a few purposes for that league. I think they do a great job on social media. I think they do a great job of really connecting with the younger people. I was noticing, I came out one of those hallways, man, and kids were swarming these teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's cool, for the kids to do it. I think it's weird when adults do it, but when the when the kids do it, I get it. And I think they do a great job. So yeah, I don't know. But there are some OTE games here this week. Dynamic Prep is playing some home games, OTE games. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun because that's a part of their brand of basketball is kind of the experience. And they
Right.
do and
Right.
they do love tapping into the kids. They do. They love
Right.
tapping into
Right.
the
And
young
that's
people, and I think that's
that's
really. I do think that's cool, but it is in under. You got to understand what certain things are for. Um,
right.
and I think that's one of the things in high school basketball right now where there's some confusion with some people because they don't really understand the purpose of certain things. Like I saw an article, well, not an article, it was a Facebook post here written by someone, um, and he was bashing kids leaving public high school going to play at Faith Family and all of this, and you should play for your community. And I think playing for your community is cool, but that's not for everybody. Everybody doesn't have goals and aspirations for their local community. Some people want to be better ball players than what their local community can give them. You know,
Absolutely.
you have some high school coaches with football coaches as basketball coaches or baseball coaches. Guys that really don't. I heard of a high school head coach here who sat down with his parents at their parents meeting and said he does not help with the recruiting of your kids. If you want if you want to stay in a situation like that, that's on you. But if you have aspirations to play college basketball, do you play for a coach who's not going to help you get in front of college coaches or even send film or make phone calls or even network and develop relations? That's a huge part of it. The relationships that your high school coach has. And so, I just think it's a matter of like people need to understand the purpose of everything. But like the most important thing is run your race. Do what it
Absolutely.
is. You know what I'm saying? Do what's best for you and your family, and don't focus on anybody else's family.
How
That's
recent was that post that you saw about the whoever was complaining about
going to
kids moving to
EYBL
these
and stuff.
national schools? Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it was like it was last week. It was
Oh,
last
okay.
week.
Well, I would tell
Yeah,
that person, uh, get ready for that to be. It's already a trend, but get ready for that to be the norm. I think that
that's
trend is going to
norm. Yeah,
transfer into the norm. I don't think any of the top kids in the state are going to be playing for their local public or private schools. I think that is on the verge of dying out, and these kids are going to join EYBO affiliated schools, overtime affiliated programs, or even I could even see other shoe corporations like Under Armour or Adidas starting more schools or sponsoring other schools just for them to tap into that wave. In my opinion, I honestly
yep.
think that grassroots basketball should probably be year round at this point. Um, just I think we should start treating it like soccer. Just because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's all gearing towards right now. I mean, if the EYBL is going to affiliate some high school programs, why not just make grassroots year round? Kids go to their school and on the weekends, they hoop. I mean, it's just going to be a year-round thing where we're going to cover their, progression. Because
I
that's where it's
think a lot
trending
of people
anyway.
are afraid of that. Like I think a lot of people, change isn't comfortable for everybody. Everybody doesn't like change. Um,
Hmm.
and high school basketball is changing rapidly, even from when I took my break, from when I left to when now that I'm back 2 years now. It changed so much in that short span of time. So I agree with you. I think I mean the best, like you said, soccer. Like the best soccer players aren't known for playing at your local high school. They're known for playing with the club teams, the FC
Absolutely.
Dallases, and all of that. And I think what basketball means to so many communities, like we a lot of people hold on to it in a certain way, and they're really having a hard time of looking at high school basketball and under the newness of it, and NIL affects all of that. When you
Absolutely.
have states, when you have a state like ours where you can't capitalize off of NIL. California, you've been able to capitalize off NIL forever because
Right.
they have childhood actors. You know, California is known for childhood actors, Hollywood, and things like that. So, we're behind on the NILA ball. So more teams are going to be going to Florida. More teams are going to be going to California where you can hop in the NIL stuff legally and publicly and capitalize off your brand. And like you said, for some people, I think high school and maybe 3 or 4 years after that is the most they'll ever see for, the ability to make money playing basketball. And why not
Absolutely.
capitalize on it then?
Well, my thing is, if the space goes AAU year round, you're cutting out the schools, you're cutting out the UIL, whatnot, or TAPS or whatever. And at the end of the day, I don't. It shouldn't be a law whether you can make money at a certain age. If somebody wants to pay you, they need to pay you. All right. If somebody wants to pay you, you should be allowed to accept it. Um, I just don't understand what the purpose of now that we're in this space in this era, this climate of NIL and kids being able to be paid at an early age. I just don't understand why playing high school basketball is even worth it if kids are going to move away anyway. So like
Right.
just they should attend their local school so they can get an education. I'm all for kids getting an education. They need to learn how to learn and be successful in life. But at the same time, if these kids want to play basketball and they're good enough to play basketball long term and make money doing it as adults, why not just play AAU year round and just keep getting better and just keep improving and keep playing against national bump, because that's where everything is trending. So why not the change be now? I mean, I know you said everybody doesn't like change, but at the end of the day, change is inevitable. So, I
Yeah,
mean, you either just get with the program or just get left behind.
yeah. Um, we have a question. How can parents get people to games? People that matter to games if the coach doesn't do those things. I think I have an answer for that. What would you say?
Wait, can you repeat it one more time?
Basically, how can parents or people get guys like yourself, myself, people that matter in the game covering games? How can parents do that?
It's all predicated upon where the players are playing. Um, so the best way I would look at it is just if you have rapport with your coach. The way I would look at it is just
Well,
making
she's
sure that
saying,
you're.
well, her comment, and I know who posted that.
Mhm.
She's saying that they don't have their coach doesn't do anything. They have one of those
Ooh,
coaches that doesn't do anything.
shoot, I don't know what to
That's when
tell
you
you in that
become a
moment.
cold. That's when you become a cold caller. That's when you become a cold caller.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't know what to tell you.
introducing yourself, speaking, saying hello. Hey, I have a son, daughter plays at so and so. Sending film. Like you're gonna have to work for your kid, and I think, um, and I'll say this. That's what I did for myself in my career. I worked for myself. I got film and sent film out and called coaches, and email was just a new thing. We had like the AOL dial up in Florida, and I reached out to coaches. I reached out to people. I sent film. I did this. I put contact information. I made sure I had everything done with the clearinghouse, and everything that I needed to do was done. So you know
Absolutely,
at that point you have to get out there, but you also have to be realistic as well.
for
I
sure.
knew that I was a Division II at best player in high school. That was my ceiling. And I asked my high school coach. My high school coach absolutely told me. I asked him, and he told me, he said, I think Division II is perfect for you. And so from there on, I went the route of looking at Division II schools, and then I found Division III and started looking at Division III schools. I think as parents, you should absolutely know where your player stands and reach
Right.
out to that level. Like it doesn't mean anything for you as a parent to have, reach out to Texas, um, and your kid isn't on that level. Just reach out to the appropriate level. I think even though college basketball spaces are limited, and they're becoming even more limited for high school freshmen in terms of transfer portal, but I think looking at the level that your player can play at is probably the most important thing outside of making sure their grades are what they need to be. You can do, and then going after that level. Because
Yeah,
the goal is still free college. The goal is still a college scholarship. You don't have to pay for a
absolutely.
university. The NIL money is a bonus. It's about, and everybody, and let's be clear, everybody's not getting it. So, I know it may look that way, but everybody is not getting it, and everybody's not getting the big dollars. So, but finding a level that's appropriate for you, I think, is the most important thing you can do. And then uh, uh, go after it. Go after it. Go get it. You're gonna have to be aggressive with it. So, um, Tony Swindle, he said the South is traditional. We're catching up. I was gonna say I saw my high school coach, and I'm gonna wrap it up here. I don't want to go. We could probably got about 5 more minutes. I saw my high school coach Walt Webb, Riverdale Baptist, this weekend. He's an assistant in St. James right now, which is cool. Like
Yeah, I
that
know
was
that
really
made you
cool
happy.
seeing. Man, what I was like a kid again. Like it took me because we played in events like this. So always when I'm at the Thanksgiving Hoop Fest, I'm always like I remember playing in something like this, and just the feeling of having the opportunity to do that in school and being very thankful. But then seeing my high school coach, it just kind of brought back some of that old, some of those old games. And the East Coast was definitely prep schooling and doing all of that you before the South has. The South has been catching up,
Right.
but back in the day, you had Newport Prep, DeMar Johnson. If you don't know who DeMar Johnson is, look him up. They were talking about him going to the league after 11th grade. Um, but you had DeMar
He he
Johnson,
he
James
went to
White.
college, right? He went to Cincinnati, right?
Went to Cincinnati, then played in the
Mhm.
league for a while. But after his junior year at Newport Prep, they were talking about him. Like the way they talked about LeBron, they talked about DeMar Johnson. And he played at a school called Newport Prep. Riverdale Baptist, we were in the Beltway League, which consists of other private schools in Maryland. But we played independent games, and we played against teams like that. I remember playing against a team from the Bahamas, and all of those kids were like 25 and athletic, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I think it is like the South is catching up to the prep school wave, but um, uh, prep school's been around for a long time. The publicity of it, it was more so like mom and pop stuff. And it was really like helping kids get the grades to go to college. That was really like, it was all fifth year seniors. It was all guys that were, considered, like fifth year seniors, or they needed special academic work, things like that. You did have those that's, players like the T-Max and, certain Amari Stoudemire went to, I can't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but he ended
Cypress
up
something.
no, that was the public school he finished in. He finished in public
Hmm.
school, but before that, what was the school? Mount Zion
Yeah.
Prep, North
Hmm.
Carolina. Tracy McGrady. You had
Hmm.
Amari Stoudemire. Oak Hill has been great forever. People have finally started catching up with Oak Hill. What would you say? Like 2017, 2018.
Mm,
They were
I would say 2013.
13. Okay, but I'm just
I
saying
would
it's
say
still just
2013.
recent. It's still just recent. It's
Hmm.
not like 20 years of Oak Hill not being. Oak Hill was always the most dominant basketball team in the country. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So I think the prep school wave is catching up. But again, I think the most important thing is, are you a prep school basketball player? We
Yeah.
saw some games and we've seen some recently where you're playing against prep schools and y'all are losing by 40, 50, 60 points.
Right. Right.
I
I think
that's
it's
just I
and it's just one of those things where you can't judge it. And that's hard because, okay, for instance, we were talking about the North Crowley game versus Prolific Prep, right? And yeah, I think North Crowley lost by 30, right? But you
something like
can't
that. Yeah.
really judge it off. And that is one of the trickier things. You can't judge it by the outcome because at the end of the day, if it's a team sport, really you got to judge it by your ability to get your shot off, your ability to get where you want to on the floor, and just your comfortability and your skill set, and if it translates to that prep school level. Because at the end of the day, when you're playing a team that's loaded with like 8 to 9 high major guys, and your team only has one Division I player on the team, maybe two at most, um, that talent discrepancy is going to play a part in the final score outcome. But if you're
Right.
able to, do things like get in the paint or guard at a certain level or make shots above length and athleticism, or be able to score through contact against length, size, and athleticism, that can kind of show you where you're at as a player and if you can play in that round.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree, man. I agree. Public high school basketball is still fun to me, but there's levels. There's levels. There are now levels in high school basketball. Um, and as a parent, um, it's gonna be up to you to really see if your player can play at certain levels, um, because you can either be you can get exposure or you can get exposed. We've been saying that for a while. We've been saying that for a while now, and I think it's even more relevant now because there's a new prep school pop up all the time, and they want to get these games, and teams need games. The one thing you got to understand about high level prep schools is they're not going to get a lot of games against non prep schools because
For
people don't
sure.
want to lose by
For
50, 60
sure.
points. So
Right.
they will, but they will take a game because they need games. They do.
Absolutely.
So
We
they'll
need to
take a
see what that
game and
looks
y'all
like.
end up
We do
playing them.
need
And
to
if
see what that
they
looks like.
they whoop you by 60, are we gonna be? Should we be doing this? That's up to
Absolutely.
you. That's
And I
up to
think
you and
effective
your
failure
family.
is a good thing. I think effective failure is a good thing because that's the only
Yeah,
thing that promotes growth. You got to go out there, put yourself through the fire, and then really be cognizant and realistic with the takeaways that you learn from that experience, and then grow from
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So yeah, like you said, I agree with it. I don't think it's a bad thing to go out there, but at the end of the day, if you are getting mollywopped by 50, 60 points, man, like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board and figure this thing out. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I also wanted to, I know we've been, just talking about more of the the ins and outs of the
Hold on.
basketball space.
Hold on 1 second. Keep that thought. Yes, your grades still matter. Grades still matter. We got that question. Grades still matter. Do not slack on your kid in that classroom because they will not be playing basketball. So tap into the NCAA website. They have their, what they require in terms of eligibility there. The clearinghouse is still a real thing. Like it's not a wild. I know if you're just looking at social media, it looks like it's still a wild west. It's not. There are standards and academics, and you should be trying to get the best grades you can get because that opens you up to so many more schools. Schools are not just interested in bringing your D student child to their school because they play basketball, especially a D2 or a D3. No, they want students, people that can academically perform and can show. So it's very much a real thing. Focus on the grades. All right, back to you. What were you saying?
Now, I just received a text because you asked me earlier on in the show if I watched any DFW matchups, and my brain was racing trying to figure out. I was like, yo, like, did I watch like a lot of
Yeah.
DFW teams? Like, I know I watched DeSoto play Putnam City North. But outside of that, I don't think I really locked in
What?
on a true DFW matchup, but I did. I started out my week and I woke up at 8 a.m. Everybody wants to get on my behind because I don't wake up early. I
Oh, I know
woke
who
up
you went to go
early,
see.
and I woke up early to go see the Episcopal School of Dallas take on
EST.
Crowley.
Yeah.
I woke up for that, and I just received a text, from a parent
Reminder.
thanking me.
A reminder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on. Y'all can get mad at me. I'm gonna keep saying it. You can be mad at me all you want. I do not care. Michael Sorrell is the best shooter. In the 2029 class. And in my opinion, he might be the best shooter regardless of class in the area. You watched him play. What do you
That was my
think?
first time watching him.
And what did you think?
Every time he caught the ball and got a clean look, he fired it like he knew it was going to be money. There's something to be said about that. And it was, and more times than not, it was money. And he got it off quick.
Exactly.
I think because he still is a freshman. And obviously
And he's what, 4.5, 6'5"?
Yeah, and barely even 150, 160 pounds at
Right.
that.
He's
Right.
about 135 for real. Yeah.
So, like right now, like the 3-point jumper is his calling card. I think it's the skill that he could bring to, like he only brings to the table now, just because he's such at an early stage in his physical development. As he gets stronger, I could see him becoming more of a threat handling the ball, more of a threat creating, because he's grown up in the game. I mean, we've always known who his father was for the last, probably, I don't know, decade or whatnot. He's been around for a minute. So we known that Michael was going to be good at the game of basketball. And obviously he has the most important part of the game down pat. So, just building off of that skill set, building off of that calling card, and being able to add a handle, being able to play through physicality, I think that's where his upside lies. But his strength as a shooter, I think it's unmatched. And like you said, he may be one of the better marksmen in the Lone Star State, regardless of class.
Drew Guy, I know you're very high on Drew Guy. What you think?
Yeah, it's wild because I don't even think he peaked out in terms of his aggression within that game. And he still had 27 points. And I know like half of the points came from the free throw line. I think he went 13 for 14. But the tools are all there. I think he's a 6'5" guard who can play on and off the ball. He knows how to play within himself. I think he does so to a fault. But just adding that killer instinct, because I think in a game like that, he could have went for 40. I think that's where his talent lies. I think he has one of the higher upsides in the Lone Star State. But not many people would know it just because he hasn't had that moment yet. And once he does, once it all comes to the forefront, and it's really a him thing. It's a personal thing. Once he channels, what he can become and realizes, once that light bulb clicks, I think we can really see him turn into something different. But it still was a good performance nonetheless. He went for 27 in a win. But he did so at a stage where right now I think he hasn't even scratched the surface of what he can become. And I don't think he's even taken 2 steps towards maximizing his upside, which is a good thing because he has all the tools of a high major prospect.
Yeah. I like Drew Guy. I like ESD. Crowley, did you see anything with Crowley. They've
Yeah.
had Germany went down with an injury. He'll
Mhm.
be out for several weeks. One of the, his recruitment is back wide open now, so he is one of the one of the best unsigned seniors in the area. Definitely somebody coaches should go see if you're looking for, point guard with a lot of skill. But yeah, did you see anything else?
Yeah. The freshman, I think his name is Colin. I don't know his last name though. He has two
Colin
last
King
names.
Summerlin.
Yeah. He has
Yeah,
two last names. And when I was watching him play, because it was easy to see he was the best player on the team for Crowley on the floor. I think Keaston Willis had a good game too. He was scoring with opportunity as well.
Kingston
Um,
Willis, Division 2. I like Kingston Willis as a Division 2 point guard. I know
no,
people get
absolutely.
mad, like people get mad at you for saying stuff like that. Like I don't, but like again, I think level is important, and I think Kingston Willis is could be a really good Division 2 point guard. Go to college for free, man.
I think the only reason why it would offend him and the people around him is just because, Kingston is one of those dudes who's been on the scene uh,
Yeah,
like earlier on in his middle school days. And so, like, when you're on the scene, you're playing against the peers that are still currently getting talked about right now. Like, he grew up with those dudes who are getting talked about now.
right.
And so it's kind of hard. Like, it kind of plays with the psyche of a player when you're seeing your peers, get certain things and you're not. But at the end of the day, he can hoop and he can, like you said, I think he can help a Division 2 program win. And in the day and the age of a transfer portal, just because that's where you start doesn't mean that that's where you finish. Go somewhere
Right.
where you're comfortable, where they believe in you and your skill set, and gain confidence within that system, so you can get the opportunities to play with the people, like play at the same level where your people are growing up at are going to now. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where you
Yeah,
just gotta, like you said, run your own race. But he can play. I mean, he hit open shots. He got into the lane, finished through contact. It was a good show. Honestly, it was probably the best showing I ever seen from him, since evaluating him as a freshman. But I just know that when you come up and you're playing alongside these dudes who are committing to these high level programs and you're not getting the just due that you feel like you deserve. I know it
right.
plays into your psyche, but like there's still like a lot more gas. There's still a lot more gas in the tank, and there's a race to be ran. And I think if he runs it in the correct fashion, I think he can get what he wants out of this basketball
You
thing.
said you said you watched the DeSoto game. Um, Tredavian Young had a big. You said which one did you watch? Who did they play?
They played Putnam City North.
Okay, was that? I think that was their only game. That was the game he went for 39.
Yeah, and if it's that guard who was hitting the tough shots, because I didn't really take a look at the roster.
That's the only. It's the only guard they got that's hitting tough shots. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
DeSoto's
If it
had a
was that
hard.
guard that was hitting
They've
tough
won.
shots, yeah, Brody
Right.
got game. Brody got game, and he was igniting the crowd with every bucket he was getting.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, Brody got game.
Finished with 39, 4-4 in that game.
I never would have
Um,
guessed that though, but at the same time, I dipped out early. I dipped out periodically because I had to go check on the little
yeah.
homie, son Jinkle for St. Michael's. Um,
And that's the thing about Hoopfest that I don't think people like if you're sitting there as a fan, as a parent, like as a coach, like just understand how many games are going on at the same time. And they're good games. They're good games. Like so it's not slight or nothing toward your prospect or your player, your team. Like it's not personal at all. You know what I mean? But we're there to do a job and watch a lot of different things and we all have our own missions that we're on, so we may poke our head in and see some things, but sometimes we can't stay because there's other things going on. But I'm good to hear that Trey has been, he's been on a tear, but I'm good to see that he had that 39, 4-4. The Sotos, they're having a rough year. Not a traditional, the Soto's always strong, so and I
mhm.
think they're just still trying to figure things out. Obviously they lost Caden Williams. He's over there at Faith Family. But, again, in that district, so imagine you got Michael Gatewood, you have
Mhm.
this kid from DeSoto, you have Vincent Green at Lancaster, Deuce Hunt at Dunkerville. Like you have a lot of guard talent in that
Right,
in that district, in that conference. It's just a matter of, who's gonna have the better game night in and night out. So
right,
but
right.
but yeah, man, I'm gonna wrap it up. But I just wanted to, put out my three players of the week. We had two last week. We had three this week. My goal is to have one, but sometimes I feel like I'm leaving out great performances on the weekends. So We had Tre'Davian Young had 39, 4-4 in that game that you just talked about.
Okay.
He's one of our players of the week. Landry Ferguson. It's a name that you probably haven't heard of a lot, but I think you should definitely take a look at. Landry Ferguson plays at John Paul II, had 32 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists against South Oak Cliff in a win.
Oh shoot. Okay.
Yeah,
What class?
he is I believe he's a 27. I
Okay.
could be wrong. Don't, but Landry Ferguson, yeah, look him up. 32, 8-4, can do a little bit of everything. Good looking player. And then a name that we know, but just the junior version, scored a lot of points in high school. Famous 100-point game in high school. Monte Ellis Jr. He had 40 points, 6 rebounds, 5 steals. For
Monte
Walnut
Ellis Jr.
Grove.
went for 40.
Went for 40. He
He
went
went for
for
40.
40. He's going. Hey man, listen. I know
That's
Walnut
hey, we
Grove is
talked
far.
about him. We talked
I
about him
know
this
it's
weekend.
far. I know Prosper's far. I know Walnut. I know it's far. I get it. You gotta go see him though.
I'm
He
gonna go
is.
mess with Brody. I'm
You
gonna go
need to
mess with
go see.
Brody.
I'm just saying. You need to go see him. He is looking. He's turned that corner. I got him rated top 5 in the city in my rankings. He's top 5 in the city. Kind of disrupted things a little bit. But that 40 ball to me proves it. He's proved that he is a legitimate prospect, and that 40 ball was against hold on, I gotta make sure I have it right. I want to say one name, but I think
I know it was
it's
a late night game.
it was one of those late night games. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Cardinal Ritter. Uh,
Mm.
yeah, it's Cardinal Ritter. Dropped 40 against them. Um, so yeah, man, Monte Ellis Jr. is worth the price of admission to go see
No,
him
I'm
for
gonna
sure.
I'm gonna pull up on him for sure though, because even my supervisor Eric Bossy, he shot me the text saying that he didn't even realize that Walnut Grove was playing, and he would have went and caught him. He's somebody that didn't, make our initial class of 2028 list. That I feel probably could have if I
Should
if
not could should
uh,
have. He's that good, man.
if I would have got an updated look at him before the list happened. I haven't seen him since probably haven't seen Monte since March.
Yeah.
So I think that's just one of those things that like as soon as I get a look at him again, just he's probably going to end up on the list. But yeah, no, that's pretty promising hearing that he did that. I mean, obviously, when you're NBA legacy and you can go for games like that as a sophomore, it kind of shows what you're about and what you're going to be about. You know what I mean?
Is it true? Someone said to me, um, NBA legacy kids are going to get an automatic look because he's an NBA legacy.
Hell
Is there
yeah,
any truth to is there any truth to that statement?
absolutely, absolutely.
So
Because you got to think
we can
about
put that to bed for parents. So for parents, we can put that to bed.
yeah, and if you have a problem with it, you got to think about it like these kids are getting raised by pros, so they know the ins and outs of what it takes to get there, and they
Right.
experience it every day, like
Right.
every hour of the day.
Right.
Like that's the bloodline. I mean, they have access to things that kids that aren't sons of pros don't have access to.
Right.
It's just one of the
Right.
things they the level of work ethic, how they're supposed to eat, just the ins and outs of what it takes to be successful in the game of basketball. They have an advantage. They have the advantage. They're privileged in doing that. So yeah, I mean, yeah, if it's the son of a pro, like yeah, you got to go check it out. I mean, Jackson Richardson, the son of Jason Richardson, jumps like his dad. Why do you think that? The
Yeah.
bloodlines are
No,
there.
that's real. Marcus Spears has his mom's athleticism. You know what I'm saying?
Son of
Um,
two, like a son of two pros. I mean, at the end of
right.
the day, it's
Right.
just it's a human cheat code advantage that those kids have, and at the end of the day, it's they're taking over this modern climate of basketball, and so
Yeah.
that's just one of those things that you're just gonna have to tolerate
Yeah.
if you don't like it.
Well,
I love it.
hey man, it is what it is. Well, man, great
Hey,
show. I
Charles, one
appreciate
more
you
thing
coming.
before you end it, though. One more thing
Here you
before you
go.
end it. I want to
What
know
you
if
got?
we can do a show where we talk about your rankings.
Absolutely. We can talk about it for sure.
Yeah.
I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it even more now because people get so mad at me. And if you know anything about my personality, you know I love debating. I love standing on what I say, and I have stuff to back it up. So yeah, no, we can definitely. Um, Typically, Mondays are for my rankings, and my team rankings got shot this weekend. Like I said, Carter lost. Some other teams won. It's a real season of parity here in DFW. A lot of people are on the
Hmm.
same level, in different classifications. And it's fun. It's fun. I would hate for parents to miss the fun because they're mad at where Charles Campbell ranked their team. I would hate for them to do that because they're so upset with me. This is a special season, man. I'm having fun. I'm having fun with the wins, the losses, the performances. So far, it's been really exciting. But yeah, no, we can do that. Normally, Mondays lives are for that. Next week will be because I think we're out of tournament season right now, the Thanksgiving tournament season. So we get back to some regular games. Where will you be coming up? What will you be watching?
Uh, Honestly, I have no idea. I'm waiting for. I kind of rely on the Great American Shootout for that tournament list that they pull out. So I'm using them
Yeah.
as a source. I'm waiting for them to update it just to see what's going to go on during this month of December. But for right now, I know I'll go to a grind session event this December 19th through 21st weekend.
Is
I
that the
think
one
Southeastern
here?
Prep. Yeah, I think Southeastern Prep is
Yeah,
returning
I'm gonna
back
I'm gonna get
here.
out of there. Yeah, at Nolan Catholic. Yep.
Oh, that's where they're host. Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, it's
That's
right up the
nice.
street. I'm
That's
right
nice.
here in Mansfield. It's right up the street. Yeah, yeah.
That's official. So yeah, I know I'm going to do that for sure. And then I'm closing out the year covering basketball in California.
Okay.
Um, do a couple of days in San Diego and a couple of days in LA just to see what they got going on in the West Coast. But hopefully, sometime within these next 2 weeks, I can just find events on the fly to pop in and see some dudes that I need to see before I just shoot out some information to coaches into the 24/7 sports following.
Yeah. Well, good, man. It's appreciate you hopping on. Appreciate Ani his time on. You want to watch it again? Replays on YouTube. Um, but till next week, man. Live Mondays with Charles Campbell's Brandon Jenkins, 24/7 Sports. Appreciate you guys joining us.